All right, we'll kick off with an exclusive heading your way. This season of the league has seen it all. An Indian captain being booed, impact player rule coming under question, young teams emerging as strong contenders for the title, new young stars putting in outstanding performances, Aussie captains ruling the roost, and Team India discards delivering. To throw some light on all the hits and misses of the league so far, here's cricket expert Sanjay Manjrekar, who joins us. We have to speak about the IPL. You know, it's been quite a few matches in. There have been many closely fought, high-scoring contests. How do you look back at the tournament so far? What are your takers?
IPL, see, every edition of the IPL has actually become better and better in the sense, with regards to appeal, uh, the popularity and viewership. So on that front, it's been brilliant. What we now see, and obviously that has been the biggest takeaway so far from this IPL, is the number of runs scored. Almost 15 runs and over per innings recently scored. So those kind of things are, which are getting your attention. And the other day we were doing an interview with Ashwin, who reads, the game more than just do his job. And he's absolutely right. Every season you see the IPL evolving, and in a sense, T20 cricket evolving rapidly. Test cricket took its own time. T20 is like the format is also evolving rapidly.
And speaking of evolving, one of the rule changes that really sort of broke a lot of the perception and changed IPL was the impact player rule. It started off very great, but now, of course, teams have started figuring it out, and that sort of created a bit of a controversy as well. Many daggers coming out. Where do you stand as far as impact player rule at this point is concerned, Sanjay?
See, the fact of T20 cricket when it came into being was the overs shrunk to 20 overs per innings, but the amount of batters remained the same.
Yeah.
So automatically that was a huge advantage. Bowlers still had a restriction, of how many overs they could bowl. With 50 overs, obviously it was a longer period, but 20 overs and the same amount of wickets. So obviously there is a little more freedom and license for the batters to, go for the bowling and try and attack from ball number one. So it has always been skewed in favor of the batters, more so T20 cricket from the other formats. And what we found out is that because the format is so heavily loaded in favor of a batter, the impact batter is making a
Yeah.
greater impact than an impact bowler. Let's not forget, you get an additional batter as an impact substitute, but you also get an impact bowler as an impact substitute. But because of the format and the general conditions around a match, the impact batter is making a far greater impact than the impact bowler.
So do you see the powers that be sort of going back on this, tweaking this around? Because, like you said, it is queuing the game even further in the favor of the batters.
I don't think fans are complaining. There was a gentleman sitting next to me on a flight, and he was just, he was so excited with the amount of runs Sunrisers Hyderabad scored. So, I when the fans start getting put off by
Yeah.
something, then obviously then you have to have a look at it. We don't matter. People who are within, the former players who played Test cricket, 50 overs cricket, and now involved with the IPL. It's really the fans who make the event. So, I mean, different people have different expectations. We constantly talk about balance between bat and ball. That is, as we as former cricketers and who follow and who've been involved in the cricketing world and the game. But if the fans like it, I don't think anything will change too much.
Right, but going by all the action that's happened so far, the close contests, the high-scoring contests like we're setting up, which are the teams that you think, or which team that you think you've been most impressed by?
Rajasthan Royals. Just the fact that the first three games, Butler didn't fire, Yashasvi Jaiswal didn't fire, and they still won matches. Sandeep Sharma, somebody who really helped them win the close matches in the first few games that they played. Suddenly, he was unavailable for three matches.
Yes.
Rajasthan kept winning. There was one game when Butler didn't play, Ashwin didn't play. Rajasthan still won. So it's one of those teams that is not reliant on one or two players. The last game, obviously, Butler single-handedly won them the game, but it's a team that doesn't have a very obvious weakness. With Sandeep Sharma gone, I guess there is some weakness towards the end when Kuldeep Sen bowls, but the team with the least weaknesses, and there's some quality in their batting, in the seam bowling, as well as spin. And very few other teams can boast of this kind of a combination.
You know, you're speaking of a star batter there in Joss Butler. You know, I reached out and I spoke to so many players who played with him, whether it's Rajasthan, whether it's in England, a lot of the management as well. They all speak about how he's such a down-to-earth, quiet sort of a guy. But I would like to hear your thoughts, basis your interaction, especially after that match with him.
My interaction is limited to speaking to them in an official capacity after the game. And I try and understand. I mean, I had the privilege of talking to him after that great innings. And he doesn't like to talk about himself, which is something that I found out from earlier times. So I put him under pressure saying that you don't like to talk about yourself, but we need to get an insight as to how you are able to play these kind of great IPL innings. He's got, I think, 7 IPL hundreds. 3 have come in run chases. And the hundreds from memory have always been ones where he's stayed there till the end and won the game for the team almost single-handedly. He's done that on numerous occasions. So obviously it's completely related to the nature of the person, which in cricketing term we call temperament. And that is what separates him from the others. I think the kind of skills that he has, the shots, I think there are quite a few batters around in IPL who have the same set of skills and maybe the same kind of ability. But it's his temperament that sets him apart. He's one of those few batters who will get 80 runs out of his 100, not really finding the rhythm and his touch, but he just keeps backing himself. And in the end, is able to hit that, peak. And we see the best of Joss Butler in the last 20, 30 runs, which the team needs, and Butler also needs to get to his 100. So that is where he's pretty unique in the way that he keeps backing himself when he's not playing well, while quite a few batters would throw their wickets away and leave it for the others.
Yes, which is exactly what he did in that last match in that monumental knock that he registered and he played. But the T20 League is also not just about these senior hands, they're also about the youngsters who keep coming through. Who are the lot, or which of this particular lot has really piqued your interest and have possibly got the selectors thinking as well?
I hope because he's not getting as many opportunities, the selectors don't forget about Rinku Singh. I think he's a straight-in walk-in in that Indian team. And every time he's got those limited opportunities as well, you see how good he is in the sense, the consistency, the range that he has. So he's obviously somebody that I like from the obviously the core of the Indian team, from apart from the big names that we always know, that we're thinking about. So he is one. The other batter who has played for India has been around for a long time, but finally I think he's come to a stage where people, what they were expecting is starting to happen. That is Sanjay Samson, with his consistency, maturity, um, and when he's playing and he's on song, um, India need that kind of a player in their T20 team. So he's another that I really like. Riyan Parag is interesting. I want to see him the whole season because some of the innings that he played, the peak of Riyan Parag, I think very few can match. Very few young batters can match his sort of peak. So that is very interesting. But we'd like to see the whole season how he goes about. But yeah, when I'm looking at players, I'm looking at more T20 batters. I think India might just struggle to get quality T20 seam bowlers.
The other thing about this particular edition, Sanjay, is that we've seen so many new captains at the helm of quite a few teams. Who do you think have really sort of found their feet in this particular year?
Shubman Gill, I think, looks very comfortable. It's not an easy job. And I like the way that he's just come in and looks like he's somebody who seems naturally suited to lead the team. And good to see that it also hasn't affected his batting too much. Uh, again, I have to go back to Sanjay Samson. Who would have thought, a few years back that he would be the kind of leader that he is today, very calm, relaxed. I've not seen enough of Ruturaj Gaikwad in the sense to know how he is doing, because the fact will always remain that there is a Mahendra Singh Dhoni right next to him all the time. So when Ruturaj Gaikwad is entirely on his own on the field, then we can judge him. But I would say Shubman Gill, Sanju Samson have been quite impressive, and Pat Cummins, how he's leading Sunrisers Hyderabad in the sense that he's leading by example, and just the amount of commitment that you see from him as a captain has been impressive.
Right, time to put you in a bit of a spot. We're at the halfway mark here, pretty much 6-7 games at the league. Who are your 4 teams that are likely to make it for the playoffs? Your pick.
This is always like a bit of a wild guess, and very often we don't get it right. But at this stage, it's easy to back Rajasthan Royals and Kolkata Knight Riders. I see Mumbai Indians eventually finding a way. CSK, Sunrisers Hyderabad are the other teams. But I want to stress on this aspect that we always talk about the Final Four. And in the end, who remembers the Final Four of the IPLs gone by? It's about winning the playoffs and winning on the big night. And that is where you have to look at a team which has players who love the big stage. And that is where I feel this time around Sunrisers Hyderabad having somebody like a Pat Cummins and a Travis Head, you might think they have the kind of players that might excel on the big stage. That's where Mumbai Indians also have an advantage. And that's where Rajasthan Royals might be tested, and Kolkata Knight Riders as well. So we'll see. CSK obviously have always had that temper with MS around.
All right, catch the entire interview where Sanjay Manjrekar speaks also about the T20 World Cup, the key selections ahead of that. Who is his first choice for wicketkeeper batter? Who should open? Should Virat Kohli lead the charge at the T20 World Cup? What of Hardik Pandya? All of that and more this weekend, Saturday at 2 p.m.